Okay, so I think we can slowly start. We welcome today Professor José Barbosa. He's a professor of drawing, architectural drawing and view drawing at the FAUP, Faculdade de Arquitetura da Universidade do Porto, since I don't remember how many years, but I think almost 20, right, José?
22.
22 years, where the FAUP, where the drawing is probably the most important class in the first 2 years at least with project. And so José is one of the, it's the greatest and the most important professor of drawing at the school. And he will today make a class on this topic to us. And we thank him very, very much. I wish this. I hope the students will have a lot of questions at the end of this conference. So, José, if you want to share your screen, you can start the lecture.
Okay. Good afternoon to everyone, and special thanks to architect Gregorio Carboni and for this invitation. And of course, thanks to Pedro Monteiro and Kiran Katara. But I can't forget another special thanks to my colleague and coordinator of Drawing 2 in FAUP, Vitor Silva, for developing these issues with me. And also, I can't forget to my other colleagues for their contributions, like Armando Ferraz, José Maria Lopes, Nuno Sousa, Marco Mendes, Luís Fortunato Lima, because with their contributions and these conversations we have sometimes even out of school about these subjects and the exercises we made sometimes. So my thanks to them. And of course, I can't forget my students, because the students who patiently carry out the exercises. So if I can talk about these issues, it's because they are great in this work. So we're going to talk about drawing and visual thinking, and we try to understand the relationship between the body with the space through the drawing. And here on the bottom you can see this address. I suppose some of you already know it, but here you can find a lot of examples of the kind of exercises we do. Well, before continuing, this is really rare, because I'm looking to the screen. I only see my presentation and I don't feel the presence of the people. So it's very strange. Strange, rare. It's like a wall, yes. So and I'm going to throw in some ideas and concepts, and I hoping to contribute to the development of your visual thinking. Here we can see some pictures about the different places where we have been during these years, and it's important to talk about this. Because we work a lot outside, even in the drawing 1 or drawing 2, we draw a lot outside, and we insist in this the importance of this relationship between the body and the space, because it looks simple, but it's a complex relationship, even. Because for us it doesn't matter if it's cold, if it's rain, if it's hot, because this experience is very relevant. I think some of you work with me in the workshop. In fact, you are very lucky, because you get almost the 4 seasons. You get very good hot Sundays. We get rain, we get foggy days. So this relationship between the place and the temperature, this kind of experiences, are very important. Of course, at first sight, some people think we are crazy because we put the students some situations with very cold, like here, for example, in 2003. In 2003, we have some classes with 0 degrees. Of course, each 30 minutes, the students going to take a cup of tea, a very hot cup of tea, to continue working. But these experiences are very important. I think the ones who made the workshop in the school of the primary schools of the SE, you could understand better what I'm talking about. So it's very important to understand what kind of information our body getting in the space, and what kind of relationship was created with the space. And before continuing, I would like to leave this question on hold, on suspension, for you think about it. Again, before continuing, I present these images because are different authors, different professions, architects. Emma MacLeod is from theater, Federico Fellini is a filmmaker, like you know, Umberto Eco is a writer and a philosopher, Michael Bormans is an artist who works a lot for opera, Peter Zunter is an architect, and Ankil Bilal, it's a comic producer. And here, for example, the drawings from Umberto Eco, he drew this before he write the name of the rose. He tried to think about the characters, and he had also other drawings with the abbey, like the library. Here, for example, is the cooperation with Federico Fellini with Milo Manara to produce a storyboard. So again, why so important to draw? It's a better way to seeing the real. It's the ideas. It's an expression. It's a communication. So we get a lot of questions with drawing. And this lecture is about drawing, but also about seeing and feeling the space, relation between the body and the space, and what kind of concepts gravitate around this problem, and what happens when we are in the place. So I left some questions in the air for you think about it. I don't know if you understand the expression. It's a Portuguese expression. I don't know if it's the same in English, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So when we walk and leave the space, in fact, from the first moment, what we get is sensation, and usually we don't realize this. Because we try to rationalize everything, and we don't pay attention about what we feel, because the sensations are difficult to identify almost of the time. Even if unconscious, the information received from the body through the space is much more complex than it might seem at the first moment. For example, these two drawings are visualizations in an interaction of the real with the imagination, the real, the memory, and the idea. For example, on the top right, this drawing is from a student who Costa, who you know them, the guy who was with us in the Estação Trindade. I don't know if you remember him. And it's the result of the experience lived in the place and its relationship with the idea for the project. So this is what the idea that he have for projects, and the other it's the result of his experience in the place. And the other image on the below, we have the sensation of like we are on our feet on the ground, as if we were walking through the interior of the project. This doesn't exist. This student tried to create this image he can see better what happens in this project. Another relationship that is established between the body and the space is the strong relationship with the memory. When we work in the place, we have a lot of memories, and also we can see some problems with the memory. We forgot, we remember what. So these exercises, this is big drawings. Can you see here? It's like 1 meter 20 for 80 centimeters. So this is big drawings made by a group, the students. They try to remember the place. Of course, they have a lot of information, even in project, but this exercise is made only by memory. They don't see nothing, only by memory. Okay, so we think the memory is very important too, because the memory have a great influence in the visual thinking. What they're going to imagine, for example, for imagine or thinking for projects, and of course it's with important connections related to sensations. The memory of the sensations we get from the space, and the sensations are characteristics that bring us closer to our humanity. And often a phenomenon difficult to identify due to its inherent complexity. This exercise is very important. It establishes the relationship with the memories on the place, such as the sensations inscribed in the body itself. Now some questions. What does mean sensations? Later I will talk about this, but for this moment I will leave some questions. Why everything starts with the sensation of space? And what we do if we have sensations? How to record sensations? In fact, is information received through the body by the sense. And we are talking about sensitive sensations. It sounds simple, but it's a complex biological, psychological, and physical system of information that the body itself receives and articulates with the way we feel and think. So it's a multisensory experience. Like you know, most of the time it's an unconscious process. For example, these drawings we have here, they are great drawings, of course, very simple drawings, linear drawings, but the experience of doing this, it's very complex. So yeah, we have psychological and physical sensations. And the sensation has a strong connection with the notion of space. A sample drawing, perspective drawing, for example, implies much more than a technical execution. Sometimes the people saw a drawing, like here, for example, well, it's very, very well done, but it's not this important. It's like when we write, we don't think when we write. We just write because we already know the grammatic and every rules of the writing. So in drawings, it's the same. We must to learn this visual grammatic to produce a drawing, to use the visual thinking. But during this process, we have other sensations like the sun, the wind, the temperature that receives from the space. So this relationship is most important when we produce outside a drawing. But also the sensation of volumes, the sensation of measure. For example, here these drawings, they aren't complete; they are only linear drawings. But when we talk about these issues, the students understand very well what they are working. So it's not a technical, but of course it's important to know how to build a perspective. So it's the reading that the body itself performs also in space. It's a strong connection with the real, the memory, but also with the imagination. And the imagination is the faculty of compiling into an image the multiple data that provide by intuition, could we say by the body, which is related to the sensations. I bring this sentence from Pallasmaa because I think it's very important for you understand better what I'm trying to talking about. I'm going to give you a few seconds to read it. In fact, the body it's like a huge database, and Pallasmaa talks about this complexity. Today with the exaggerated use of technology, we are losing these biological contacts. Like now in this moment, I lose everything. I only see the screen. I don't see you. I don't feel you. And for me, for example, talk about these subjects. It's more natural when I'm in the place with the students, like in the workshop. For example, now I'm from away you, so it's not easy to talk about this. No, for me, it's not natural. It's forced. I feel forced to talk about this. So we take too much time when too much contact in front of the screen, and we are losing the tactile experience with the world. Francesco Carreri, for example, goes in the same direction. He talks about this, the feeling of the space. He had a lot of experience with the students. I think it's a nice book. If you don't read it, try to find it, because it's a nice book for students in architecture, in fine arts, the people who work with these kinds of images. I think it's an important book. So one of the important author out too in architecture is Kenneth Frampton, and he talks about this, the body reconstruct the world through his tactile appropriation of reality. This little sentence tells a lot about this experience. And again, Pallasmaa here bring us again the importance of the body and the relationship with the world. So we keep talking about the importance of the haptic experience. And another one, sorry, so many sentences, but I think they are very, very important. They are from architects, and this one is considered as the father of the school, Porto School, and he used this funny expression to demonstrate the importance of the sensations. And in this text, he talked about the circumstance, the experience of feeling space and as an interrelation. I think it doesn't exist in French, I don't know, but it's a very nice book for architecture students too. And he said it's the natural and human factors that constitute the circumstance. And of course, these factors make up the body's and intimate relationship with space, because the intellectual process is not sufficient for understanding the totality of space, like Palasma talked about the same problem. So if face the space and immediately we get sensations, what should to do? It's the problem. So we come back to the question. What should to do? Here we must understand drawing as an holistic process. Recognize drawing as a process of understanding the world, that is, understanding all phenomena. And when we look to this drawing, for example, we talk about organization of information for seeing, for thinking, and communicate and what we want. But before that, the most important thing is what we feel and read about the space. Of course, this drawing, it's a complex drawing, because it's from a student who already have a long practice of drawing, and we made this kind of exercises in the second year, so they already have a long practice of this. It's easier, of course, do this kind of exercise with someone who practice. But in this simple and linear drawing, we work with some concepts like measure, proportions, scale, depth, perspective, horizon line, but also volumes, distribution of space, composition, articulation of the representation systems, with implications for memory. Of course, we never know the results of this in our memory, but they have, of course. However, at beginning, we don't work with all these. We isolate each problem. We do very simple exercises, for example, just a plan, or just a perspective, or just an axonometry, or just a section. And after that, we're going to develop the system, and then we're going to join different information. Always in the place. For example, here is the first classes we have in the second year, and we begin in the school because it's closer, it's smaller, and it's we don't have so much noise from like in the city. It's space. It's much more complex, and the FAUP, it's a nice place to practice this. So we try to launch a few problems at a time, and to understand, it's very important to understand some concepts. And you have here, I forgot to say something before. I'm sorry if the French is not correct. I'm trying to put it in English and in French for help you, and I translate in Google, so I don't know if it's correct or not. If I have something wrong, forgive me. So it's very important to understand what this kind of concepts means, and what kind of repercussions they have when we draw. Of course, they look very simple, like measure, very simple concept. But if we analyze this better, it's a complex work we did. But all of them are an attempt is made to reduce as much information as possible. For example, in this perspective here, you can saw a lot of a structure here to build the drawing, but in every drawings we see this kind of structure, because it's this kind of structure help us measure. So when we articulate different systems of representation, we try to see, feel, and think different problems. For example, here in this drawing, it's another exercise. We see the perspective, and we see this section here, the relation between the tree with this building. It's the National Library in Porto. This tree, in fact, doesn't exist anymore. It just fell down a few years ago, but in 2002, 2003, it was there. So again, it's important and understand these concepts. They are very, very important because they can help you to understand and read the world, and help you the way you think, or will think. And also it's the relation between the intuitive perception and objective information. For example, here it's a drawing from the place where you some of you were in the workshop, the school where you are working, and I bring this drawing because it was the same place where you have your project. Of course, this drawing it looks easy when we look to this, but this drawing had a lot of practice before arrives here. Some of you who knows, who have the contact with Karina. Karen is a very nice student, because she's very available for learning, and of course to arrive with at these results, she made a lot of work to arrive here. So, and I begin with the representation systems, because I want to talk more about the perspective, and you already understand why. So the importance of work with these different systems, it's because in the impossibility of reading all the space, because each systems have different informations. So we try to join all these kind of representations. Here we only have perspective and the section, but we can work with all the systems. And of course, these different, like we said before, these different. It's not, no, it's here. Here, for example, in the plane, we see the distributions of the space. In the aerial perspective, I saw the space around the project, for example, and in perspective, I have the sensation of the volumes or the depth of the space, or well, different kinds of notions. But when we work with these different systems, we try to have a large notion what happens in the space. But of course, to reach this, it's necessary to develop other subjects and skills of drawing. Here, for example, and we going consider we begin with measure because it's the beginning of all process. Probably the most important concept in the entire graphic record. Well, most important. It's very important, of course. And this sentence, for example, for Michelangelo, you must have your compass in your eyes. This drawing, for example, is very simple drawing from FAUP. We only see some volumes of the buildings of the school, the street, the lamps in the street, the trees, and some lines, structure lines, to guide us to see better. At the beginning, if someone looks at this drawing, it's nothing. No, this drawing has a lot of information. It's a very simple drawing, but this drawing has a lot of information inside, and for the draughtsman, of course. For measure, of course, is important to understand what is the structure. Structure is using the horizontal and vertical lines who can guide us to see better, to see where is some alignment, some distance. If I measure here, for example, how many times this building have to the other, or the walk side or the street. So this kind of concepts, they are very, very important to understand. And of course, here we can join the sensible and the objective measure. For example, Vitor Silva, he said, measure is certainly the most sensitive and difficult to record because it's a complex system. It's not easy, of course. So in reality, it's about the sensible relation of the body with the world, and the connection between intuition and reason. And intuition, of course, is very difficult to identify. Measure is to understand the main relations of the object. It looks, at first sight, it looks very easy. It's easy, but it's very important. You practice this, and it's not easy when you try it in the space, in real. You get hot, you get windy, you get cold, you get rain. So it's not easy. Usually we want to stay in a place very quiet without with 25 degrees. So it's not easy be outside with the temperatures like 7 degrees. For example, this year I was with the students sometimes until 6 p.m. and now it's already day, but on the winter on December and January. At 6 o'clock it was night, and we get some days very cold with 6 degrees 7, and it's difficult to stay there, of course. And what means measuring with your one's own body? It means measure with steps, measure with hands, muscles, all the body are in interaction with the space. So if you are in the space, you must move. You don't. You must walk in the space. Of course, if you made a perspective, you must stay in the place. But if you made if you try to make a plan, you must walk in the space. If you want a section, you must walk in the space to understand how it goes. Which implies the repetition of actions, observation, corrections. Like here, for example, this drawing, here it's the biggest image, but in fact it's a little drawing. But this drawing, it's a drawing with 20 minutes, I think. It's a very quickly drawing, but the student tried to measure very fast and correct some positions. Or here, for example, these students use a lot of lines to try to read the space. But another important thing in the body in the space is because measure is an extended way, even greater. It measures temperatures, wind, cold or heat with the skin, for example. With the ears measure the sound of or the mouth. We don't have this conscience, of course, but our body are always try to read everything. Even the taste of the place. We could say it's like an iceberg. Only 2/3 of the 1/3 it's visible, and all the other information it's inside us. And Tadawandu I bring this sentence because I think it's a nice sentence and beautiful at the same time. Because it talks about this relationship between the body and the world. And again, we are talking about sensations. It's always about sensations. Do you remember the sentence from Kenneth Frampton? The body reconstructs the world through its tactile appropriation of reality. So all these architects talks, in fact, about the same, and they understand the importance of this experience with the space. It's the experience of the touch, the contact with the world, who allows me to look and at an object and feel in like I was touching. I look, my experience with the looking, it's totally different when I draw directly in the space. So it's this kind of correspondences we have in drawing. For example, in the perspective drawing, that we can say when we draw in front of reality, we leave reality as if we were touching it. Juan Luis Brea, for example, have another important sentence about the work, the Cisa Vieira. Caesar was a draughtsman, a real draughtsman. He draws a lot. I don't know if now he probably don't do so much like before, but in 1984, for example, he had like 200 sketchbooks or 400 sketchbooks. Because it's he draws every places in the room, in the car, in the hotel, in the every place, and he do the same for project. He goes to the place, he draws there, he contemplates the place, he live and relive the place, because I think he understands the importance of this experience, the haptic experience, for the visual thinking, and of course for the development of the project. And we insist in the perspective, because it's the representation system that brings us closer to the sensation of space. Even this simple drawing, linear simple drawing, we get these kind of sensations. We have sensation of depth, we have the sensation of volumes, the space between the buildings. So even simple sensations we can get with these. Of course, when we use the light and shadow, here I call atmospheric perspective, because here we already have light and shadow, and we can get the different distance of the objects. It doesn't matter what kind of objects, of course. And the perspective is determinant to suggest the rational and intuitive. For example, light and shadow, much more intuitive than a rational process. And of course, with this interrelation between the intuitive and the objective relations, we also fill the space in a wide dimension. The volumes, proportions, materials, the light and shadow, the colors, the textures, but also the atmospheric feelings, because it's very important what we feel in the space, and also, of course, this kind of experience, it's an haptic experience. When we are drawing the space, we are touching. We are interact with the vision, with the whole body, and that's why we can talk about the haptic vision, because it happens during the production of drawing. So even the sound, for example, the sound of producing the drawing, we never think about it, but even the sound of producing a drawing makes the difference, the way you will think, the visual thinking. So we can say the sound of drawing bring me other kind of information, because this kind of information are recorded in my body. We never know what kind of information is that, but they are recorded in our body. And of course, the effects and the consequences of this we already don't know. And for example, here we have different drawings from architects. The only one who show us the space around the project is a drawing from Aldo Rossi. a lot of almost of the drawings are very close to the object. It means to the idea of the architect. So what we try to work with the students is forget a little bit only the object. It's not only the object. We interact. We try to interact with the project, and of course the place of project, and the ideas. Of course we have a long work to arrive here. Almost this kind of exercise is almost at the end of the second year. We already had too much drawings. And of course it's try to propose spatial situations of their projects, and try to get sensations of what they feel the space if the project like exists. Of course all these projects never going to be built, so they must leave the images like a reality. The body's relationship with space accentuates these interactions, with the place, with the memory, and later with the imagination when they arrive here, because the imagination, of course, it's always a result of all kind of information we have in our memory or our knowledge, and the experience they have in the space. Of course, I believe this. They are totally different if we leave the space, because in the drawings we can, with our memories, we can leave the images like if will be the reality. Like almost touching the reality. When we use colors, for example, we try to touch the materials, suggest the materials, the temperature of the materials, the temperature of the light, the temperature of the light and shadow. Another important concept, and here it's not easy to, because we need to work a lot with this concept, is the sense of sight and visual field. Usually we don't pay attention of the sense of sight and visual field, because it's so easy, just looking, and we already have the visual field, but it doesn't so simple like this, because the sense of sight and visual field means deciding and opting for a point of view. I must to decide what I want to see or I want to show, and the visual field, it's the way I walk, or the way I look to the space, and I must decide where I want to look. The visual field is almost 60 degrees about our visual fields, about 60 degrees. It's almost, when we are walking, we can see this part of the image. The rest, it's almost peripheral vision. So usually we don't think about this, but it's very important to understand, because with when we think about this, we get another concept very important. It's framing, and framing it's also a very complex decision. We only decide after this. I must decide which point of the space I want to look. I want to look down, I want to look up, or for example in these images, which is better? It's the horizontal tension of the image or the vertical? I don't know. I don't want to say which is better for me, of course. But every people have usually use the framing the way very today with the mobile, with the tablets, with all kind of technology, we are framing, but we don't think about this. And for creating and communicate a spatial situation and thinking space, it's very important to understand what is the sense of sight, the visual field, and the framing too. Because with the framing, we also get a composition. So the composition already needs more attention to the image, and we say different things. For example, here I see much more floor, and here I see less floor. Here I see much more sky. Here I don't see so much sky. Here this student here help the tension vertical of the image. Here is these stains of the produced by all the students who give us the horizontal tension, or this outside this on the back. So we have different problems in the same image. That's why it's very important to think about this. What we can get, or we must do to get the visual field for see or thinking the space. Here we have Alfred Hitchcock. I suppose you already know. It's a nice image because it's a very important moment of decision, and with a strong influence on the way he look and feel the space. The next one, for example, it's a movie from Peter Greenaway, and here it's the movie The Draughtsman Contract. I don't know if you already see it. Saw it, but it's a nice movie. And here he tried to decide which is better, the woman at the middle, the woman at the right side, what I'm going to hide, what I'm going to show. So which is better? Of course, it depends what I want to say with this framing. And this, for an architect, I think it's very important to try to understand this, what I'm showing from the space, or what kind of image I'm creating in a spatial situation. What is more dynamic, or what is more stable. For example, here these two photographs, they play with this framing in the same images. They They have two kinds of framing, the framing of the city, and they are also the framing. They produce the horizontal tension here to the framing, and here is totally the opposite. They produce the vertical tension of the image. Next one, for example, this French photographer, I think it's French photographer. He plays all the time with framing. I think they are very funny images at the same time. And framing also means compose, organize the visual elements. They could be horizontal, they could be vertical, heavy, light. Where should the visual elements appear? On the top, below, above, in the middle, the left, the right. So it's an important decision, and sometimes also it sees weight. It's heavy or light. The dynamism of these elements also important too. So framing, we can work with framing. Sometimes you use this kind of a structure, for example, law of thirds in some machines and some software on mobile add to this kind of structures. And this point in the center of the image, it's a very strong point because it's the center of the image, and our eyes are have an attraction very strong to here. So with this kind of structure help us to get another kind of framing, and of course in the center also the image are more stable, and we can produce other kind of images with this. With framing, we have moments permanently challenge the discovery of and reinvention of the image, and of course, in that sense of the space, looking at the space. With the framing, we try to establish special situations of balance, dynamism, weight, lightness, expansion, contraction, proximity, distance, etc. Everything almost. And of course, looking the balance and equilibrium, it's normal for vision. Usually the vision always try to found the equilibrium. It's after that when we work with these elements, we try to give more dynamism on an image. For example, if we use the diagonals of the images, so in fact is playing with the visual elements in the framing. For example, here we have the sense of sight. Is here on the center. Is the moment determine the visual field, because it's bigger. So the visual field, I forgot before. Let me come here. The visual field, it's a square. It's a square. Why it's a square? It's a square because the visual cone. We have our visual cone. We saw it's almost the angle we can see, and so we get a square inside the visual field. After that, we decide the framing. So here, the sense of sight is always at the middle. Look here, for example, sense of sight here and the sense of sight here. So the way I look to the space, I show, I see, and I communicate different things. It's the same place. and the way I look to the space, I show totally different this space. So it means deciding what's going in, what's going out. So we must decide what to cut. But also here we could talk about the off-field. Can I say? I don't know. It's like in the movies. What is outside of image? Sometimes it's more suggestions. For we don't need all the images, all the image. We can think, and we it's more attractive sometimes what is out of the image than what is inside. So sometimes we only show a little part of the image, and it's enough. For example, here, and we are talking about sensations, because it's the resonance of the visual element in the composition. For example, here, this is the same image. This is the visual field the student gets from his project, and here he decides the tension, horizontal tension of the image, because it's the horizontal tensions of the space, well, here, for example, this big rectangle horizontal to the element at the end. So understand what this kind of tensions produce in the image. It's very, very important. So we work with this all the time. Of course, this is a little part of the end of the year, when they try to join the space with the ideas from projects. For example, here this image from Frank Lloyd Wright. I think he doesn't do the idea of the project only because they think it's a nice drawing. I think he tried to show us this tension of the space. Where is the and look, it's only 1/4 of the image is used to show the project. The other, it's almost empty. But to understand here the hill, and here probably the beach or other situation, or here, for example, totally in opposite situation, Corbusier goes in opposite direction with these strong horizontal tensions give us the sensation of flatness of the space. So it was him who wanted to produce this on us. So, for example, this drawing is much more important than a realistic drawing. Realistic in the sense like everyone try to produce every day with the technology. We don't need this kind of images. This simple drawing is enough for we believe in this flatness. It's enough. And another concept to complete all this system is the horizon line. Usually we don't pay attention to the horizon line, but the horizon line indicates the position of the observer. Where am I? On the floor, on the air, on the top of the building, on the so many places. But also the important relation between the body and the space. The way I walk, I observe, I feel, and face the space. So again, sensations such as horizontal or vertical, for example, create special situations that depend on the way I position myself in the space. For example, here Rembrandt, look, he only draw in 1/3 of the image. Why? They lose almost the paper only and only use these. No, it looks you have a very strong notion of this concept, and the horizon line establishes the equilibration relationship with own body and also the sensation of depth. So the horizon line appears as an index of mediation and as a stabilizing psychophysiological line. We don't pay attention, but the horizon line had a strong relationship with us. And of course, determines our connection with the Earth or its distance. We are near or we are away. That's why we talk about the interaction with the horizon line and the principal structures of architecture, stereotomic and tectonics. Of course, this is a subject you could see later, because I study a little about this with Kenneth Frampton and Campo Baeza. Campo Baeza has another a nice book about these structures, the stereotomic and the tectonics. The stereotomic is the one that stays in the ground, more telluric, and have connection to the ancient buildings. The buildings have a strong mass. They are agarradas. They are on the floor. They are heavy. Okay. And the tectonics, it's
grounded. Grounded.
Grounded. Okay, thank you. And the tectonics is the one who rises from the ground. This kind of structures defines the way we experience and occupy the space. But if you want to know something more about the stereotomic and the tectonic, the book from Campo Baeza, because he made some not classes, conferences. I don't know. No, they were with Kenneth Frampton. I assist their presentations, and they talk about these subjects in thinking with ends. And I think it's a very nice book for you to read. I don't know if you found it in French. I know he exists in Spanish and in English. So once again, we return to the perspective. Like I said before, is the representation system that brings us closer to the sensations. And we come back to the same question: how to register sensations. So we must talk about measure, some structure, and the body and its relationship. A simple exercise, for example, here of measuring a tree in real space, proposes two situations: measure with reason and measuring with the body, of course, with intuition. And here we can talk about the optical and haptic space, but also at the optical and haptic vision. It's with this kind of experiences we can develop and learn about the haptic vision. Because with this and sometimes I don't know if you use the same expression, but sometimes we in Portuguese we have an expression, we eat with our eyes. I suppose in French we have similar expression, because it's our experience of seeing and touching the world who give us this kind of sensation. It's like touch, reality itself. So if we work with the space, it's important to develop this kind of experiences, and of course it's the repetition of acts and actions, and sometimes that seems the same, but they aren't. Gilles Deleuze tells us it's in repetition that the difference is found. Here I bring this the title of a chapter from a book from Álvaro Siza, because the concept of repetition is extremely important to understand many drawing phenomena and visual thinking. And about the repetition, I don't know if you found this book in Portuguese, is Imaginar a Evidência, maybe in French is Imaginer la preuve. I don't know if it's like this. Think about the repeat is never repeat. And of course here the sentence from Gilles Deleuze makes even more sense. It's in the repetition that the difference is found. In fact, when we draw, we repeat and repeat actions all the time, but we develop the ideas with this kind of repetition. In the next drawing, the repetition of an action will be another and not the same. In this sense, we talk about the repeating exercises. We repeat this process all the time, and we insist a lot in this concept measure. And I think that this sentence from Vitor Silva, it's great. I think it's very important to record it for you, because with this we can complete probably not the best word to develop the haptic experience of the contact with reality, where the whole body is receiving and recording information from reality, develop sensations. So it's in the perspective that we can speak of measurement as a sensitive medium. We insist a lot with the perspective. We work much more time with we spend much more time with the perspective, because like I said before, it's the system who approach us to the real space. And sometimes, and almost the drawings, we don't need a very defined image or a realistic image. A simple drawing, sometimes it's enough for understanding a very complex place or objects or architecture. That's I insist in talking about this in the optic and the haptic vision, because that kind of experience, it's very important to understand this kind of concepts. And of course, to develop the other things like memory, imagination. So these kind of actions have on us. Here, for example, and we are talking about, I forgot this, we are talking about visual elements. And the visual elements are on the base of every visual language. You find it in every images, in pictures, videos, photographs, or drawings. Also means every kind of images. But the drawings is the base of all visual thinking, and because they have a strong connection with physical and psychological on us, it's very important work with drawing, because it's also the way of thinking, the way of developing the visual thinking. And for that's why at the beginning I show different authors who have a strong relation with drawing. So understanding the relationship between body and the visual elements is to understand sensations and learn more about the subject, because we have seen this relation with the body, and the results of this could be, of course, we never know. In serious, we never know. It's not a mathematics or statistic results. In fact, we never know. For each other, it's different results. I have another sentence from José Saramago, because I think this is important for this subject. It's I don't know if you know him. It's a Portuguese writer, and he has this sentence, and I think it's very close to the subject with developing drawing. Thinking we have little brains in our fingers. The idea, it's very, it's nice, very nice, and I think we can think more about this. And of course, it's about the haptic relationship with us, and consequently, of course, about the visual thinking. And the initial questions: what's these sensations? Gilles Deleuze tells us this, and I think it's a strong sentence. Of course, sometimes it's not easy to understand what is perceived, but I will talk after about this. So we can say that sensations, with this, reading this, we can say that sensations launch multiple forms of transformation, because they have a strong and result in the way we feel the world. So what is I don't know, Pedro, a frase que está em francês em baixo parece-te bem? Desculpa interromper.
Les sensations, les préceptes et les affects sont des êtres dignes d'eux-mêmes. Sim, isso é um bocado estranho, mas percebe-se, mas a formulação é um bocado estranha.
Porque é uma coisa filosófica, não é assim Ok, espero bem que a seguir talvez percebam melhor. Ok, obrigado, Pedro. So I'm going to try to explain better this concept from this sentence from Gilles Deleuze, because the percept is in fact the first moment when we see something or the space or an object, and it's funny because the first percept we have is the sensation of space. We don't have conscience of this, of course, because it's a very, very, very fast movement, and our vision has the ability to process information with a very high number of bits per second, like you can see here. I can say this number in English, sorry, but you understand, of course. The vision are always learning. Each time we open the eyes, the vision are learning a new, something new. Of course, if we practice we practice with vision, we develop much more the way we see. But like I said before, the vision always try to find equilibrium all the time for psychophysiological reasons, and the percepts are the beginning of all this process. So everything starts with sensation of space. How? With a very simple percept is the sensation of limit. Of course, we saw at the beginning, we saw the word limit, like the end of something, a frontier, the restriction, the boundary, frontier already said. But usually we look to these concepts probably in the wrong way. So we can think about this, like a percept. We can think about this concept in another way, or producing something. So about this, Heidegger adds also this sentence, because I think it's very important, bring it our talk, because he said it's when something begins and its presence makes itself felt. So it's changed everything about the concept of limits. And if we think about this, we could think it's the beginning of representation of ideas. When we draw, we produce limits with the visual elements like dots, lines, stains, structures, and the visual elements have a strong relationship with the percept. Once again, it's a psychophysiological relationship. That's why we have the sensation of space, and we get also different feelings of sensation and different sensations. For example, the sensation of the shadow in peripheral vision, it's responsible for our survival. It's what allows us to avoid objects or hitting objects, but also the sensation of movement. It's like limit. It's beginning of something. And now I would like to make a funny experience with you. Try to fix this point. I'm going to do this because some people said the dot doesn't exist, but in fact, for our vision, the visual elements, they have a strong connection with our body. Try to fix this dot in the center of the image in the next seconds, and you will see what's going to happen. You see? So this little dot, who doesn't exist, do this. So if we work with more visual elements in the same images, we can imagine what this kind of elements can do. and the actions they have on our body. So I bring again this drawing from Hugo, because this drawing gets a lot of concepts and a lot of sensations in the same image. And here, for example, the atmospheric perspective is very, we understand very well what is this kind of concept, or this kind of result, the depth of the image, what is nearest, what is far away, the volumes, of course, also the memory of the place he's here when he think his project for the place. And we are talking about students from the second year, of course. The proportion of volumes, for example, it's very important. Don't lose the scale of the different volumes around the place of project, the light and shadow, understand where where is the north or the south of the place. And sometimes the students lose this notion, and it's very, very important to understand this. And of course, another effects we never know with these kind of exercises. At probably later, a few years later, or we'll never know. Only the students can say that. So I would like to leave you one more little sentence from Kandinsky, because for me it was when I read this for the, how many times I don't remember, but I read this very times, and I think it's very, very strong what Kandinsky tried to say as 100 years ago. So if you have time to think about it, try to after this we are talking. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, José. It was extremely interesting, and I don't know if maybe we can remember, for those who will watch the video in the future on YouTube, that in November, was it? We went to Porto, and we had with you a workshop of 1 week. That was extremely interesting with our students, and so that explains a lot of references to our workshop that you did during this lecture. That was extremely interesting and full of a lot of things to talk about.
Like I said, of course, for me, it's not easy to talk in front of screen. I like to be with the students, like in the workshop, and of course talk about these subjects. It's not easy. For me, it's not easy.
Sure.
Talk with the screen. So I think the best moment it was when we were experiencing it in the place, in the workshop, of course. And even I something, probably I forgot something important things, but because when we are in the place, when we interact with the students, we feel, we have motions, we have the contact with the people. So forgive me, I was boring talking about this subject, because I understand when we are in front of the screen, the subjects don't look the same.
No, it was not boring at all.
Yeah, I want to say to the students that all these notions again, since we are traveling with MANO, and it was a nice travel. So José, thank you. Even if you were far, we have been traveling for 1.5 hours with you. And I think it's very important. It's all vocabulary, which now with the students, it's considered as known. So I hope also I'm speaking to the students that you'll be able to use it. And when we speak about these subjects, to have some answers. So when you will be choosing the drawings you have to develop for your projects, try to think to what José have been saying and to decompose also more theoretically the drawings. Why do you draw what and which point of view, all these things, notions we have been seeing with José. And after José, I have a question for you, but you will answer me off. It's how to give, it's very difficult for me teaching to the students the measure because they are quickly fed up and they are not enough concentrated or willing to do this effort. And there is a real effort which is needed in the beginning. And I think it's very difficult to transmit them that. So, but maybe we can discuss about it later. It's more pedagogy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Corentin?
Yeah, but a little question. When you were talking about framing, you show not a square but a rectangle. I will know the proportion of this rectangle. Was it like a 2/3 one?
2/3. So the rectangle, it's almost the proportions like the papers we use, A4, A5, A2. It doesn't. It's even when you do this, when you put your hands like this,
yes,
it's very near to this format, to the A4, A5, A2, A3, because it's usually the format we are using. For example, now a lot of mobiles use a rectangle bigger. It's out of our visual field. So the rectangle, the proportion of this rectangle, it's near to our visual field.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Joana, tens outra pergunta ou é a mão de antes? Ok. I don't know if someone else has questions. I want to, anyway, even if there are still questions after, I want really to thank you, José, because it has been really nice to work with you this year. We met you last year around this period for the first time on Zoom or on Teams to start organizing this year in Portugal. And you were immediately extremely enthusiastic and it was great, really, to work with you, and I hope we will have other occasions in the future.
Thank you too for you invite me and to talk about this subject, because I think like teachers, it's important we develop this and spread and share this kind of information with the students, for they could develop their thinking, visual thinking.
Yes, I think there are no other questions. I don't know if you want to discuss with Kiran about this pedagogical elements she evoked, but otherwise we can continue next time in Porto with the Babat Camilo.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't know if we can open the micros and make an applause and. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.